In Game 1, RNG utterly dominating Suning from start to finish, from the get-go, honestly, with their draft and composition really signaling their intention throughout the entire thing, and still, despite that, Suning still powerless to stop them. Now, as we enter Game 2, Suning opting to ban out the Renekton this time, going for the Xin Zhao, while RNG, on the other hand, going for that Lee Sin and Nocturne. Excuse me. The combo that they seem to enjoy, honestly, with they could even draft the Rumble here in the jungle. Both these champions, of course, used to be known as junglers, but now can be considered some of the most consistent solo laners in LPL, at least during the summer split, as Gwen, Bin's most played champion this split, is locked in. The Zillion Hover, do not believe that is what it's going to be. Karma, Xin Zhao, of course, one of the most powerful mid-jungle 2v2s, and looks like Suning now have positioned themselves to take over the proactivity of the early game through a very strong mid-jungle 2v2 combo. They got some good scaling up towards the top side. And finally, to round out RNG's dive composition, we have the team fight AP farming champion with the Diana. Could have been the Rumble, but as Rumble has become less popular, Diana has risen to usurp him, I suppose, as the Moonrise. By the way, speaking of which, that kind of reminds me of the Ruination storyline, which I think, honestly, is it Ruin King storyline? I forget, the two are kind of the same to me. I think it's going pretty well, honestly. Anyways, Suning now targeting the AD carry champion pool in the second phase of bans, as they did in round 1. They need to consider now, though, now that the Varus is gone, RNG can look to go for the Kalista, and as we've seen in Game 1, Kalista is very much a champion that they are comfortable running, especially when it pertains to these kind of dive compositions. RNG, on the other hand, looking to ban out some mid lane picks. LeBlanc has been extremely popular recently, and of course, Senna wanting to take away the Senna Tahm Kench safe lane combo. Even the Senna Karma is a very valid thing as well. In the mid lane, that is of course EDG's Senna combination of choice, as RNG now enter the second phase of bans. Leona is still up. Leona, the only premier engaged support still available. The Alistar might be what Suning are going to go for as they lock in the Thresh. Could they be baiting Suning to take the Aphelios or the Jinx at this point in time? Because both champions, of course, without any mobility. Suning can opt to go for the Jinx as well as Tahm Kench. Jinx is one of the most played champions, of course, by Suning's AD carry. His two being Varus and then Jinx. Ezreal, I think, would be a really good pick here, but as to be expected, they go for the Jinx Tahm Kench safety with the hyper carry, and RNG just match it with their very own scaling hyper carry. I'm kind of liking what RNG have a little bit more, because they have a triple dive threat composition up towards the top side of the map that can all jump in onto this Jinx. Of course, Huanfeng will have ultimate safety, and thankfully Suning has also reverted their team right back to what we're used to. No more SOFM in the support position on the Thresh from last game. That wasn't really anything to see. Honestly though, SOFM isn't really what I would call one of the premier counter jungling junglers. Even in 2020, even during the 10th season, I do believe, even during the 10th season of competitive play, SOFM never really carried the game by himself. He was always more like a team player. He'd farm it up, he would become the tank, he would jump in and just alleviate pressure from his carries and stuff, which right now, I suppose, with the Xin Zhao, you'll be able to do very nicely. Of course, with your ultimate, you'll be able to knock away a lot of the people who are jumping in. You'll be able to keep the Diana out of the team fights, ideally. In terms of bouncers, I must say that Suning do not really have much. All they really have is a perfectly timed Xin Zhao ultimate to keep the Diana at bay. Of course, there's nothing that can keep this Nocturne at bay, and very, very little also that can keep the Lee Sin from insecting people into juicy positions. Now, I suppose as we go into the draft, considering both sides have scaling bot lanes, both sides have pretty active top sides, RNG's top side only really becomes top side meaning including mid lane, only really becomes super active come level 6 with the Diana ultimate and the Nocturne ultimate. Meanwhile, Suning, with the tank Karma mid lane by the looks of it, will be able to get stuff done a little bit earlier probably, and of course there will be an ultimate killer duo. Priority wise, mid lane priority will be in favor of Angel, and the top side, I do believe Gwen will not be able to get priority in the initial few levels against Lee Sin. Lee Sin's got some superior wave clear, of course, with his E, but alas, eventually as to be expected, Gwen will outscale the Lee Sin and then become a huge threat. So it's kind of interesting that RNG opted to go for the scaling in the bot side, because of course I think Suning generally do have a better scaling composition. They even have a tank. They have two ways of tanking damage, and they have the karma to both protect your front line as well as provide some great utility for your back line. So overall, Suning's composition just seems more well-rounded, especially as they go into any later phase of the game. So, but then again, as we've seen from Game 1, RNG have no intention whatsoever to try and scale the game. At least if they do have no intention of scaling the game, they will definitely try their best to end it out early, and they will probably have quite good success with it. Bot lane priority, I'm going to say, is in favor of Suning just because of the splash damage from the rockets. But of course, Aphelios does have that range advantage that's kind of nullified, honestly, by the range of the rocket launcher. Anyways, so back to what I was saying. I think RNG, I would have preferred to see them kind of go again for the Kalista, but maybe that would be too all in for them, as already some initial trading going on. Level 2 is not anywhere close for either of these bot laners, as Ming is forced to flash down the exhaust, forced to flash as the exhaust goes down onto him. So flash for exhaust, a pretty worthwhile deal, Gala even having to use his heal. But as a result of those two summon spells being used, Ming is at mostly full HP. Meanwhile, Hanfeng is a little bit low in the mid lane, trying as he may to clear out the wave. Of course, the passive attack from the Nocturne has been nerfed already. And so clearing waves, even CSing honestly with Nocturne passive, has become a little bit strenuous, a little bit difficult. Now Angel is playing quite aggressively, pushing in wave after wave, knows that he doesn't really need to be careful of a Diana gank. Although a Diana is completely nullified against a LeBlanc. That's probably one of the reasons LeBlanc was banned. Karma can hold out for a really long time, of course, with her enchanted tether, and of course based on the fact SOFM is still doing his clear, he can get to mid lane relatively quickly. It will be no problem whatsoever for Angel to just hold out until then. Does have flash, does have the shields, the heals from the tether, as well as the flash available. So Angel pretty much is completely immune to anything that could potentially be considered remotely dangerous until, of course, RNG hit level 6. So really he can just shove with impunity. It must be a really nice feeling now being the mid laner of Suning, as both the junglers now just completing their first round of clears. Walking into the river is SOFM towards the bot side. Interestingly enough, Bin in the top side has gotten priority over Xiaohu. Xiaohu with his decent has become kind of the staple pick of his since the start of the summer split, kind of following with the meta. And this looks like Wei, seeing as to how he doesn't have any mid or top prio, is not going to take a chance and run into the top side river to secure out that Scuttle Crab. Interesting to see if either solo laners from either team will take a dip into the river, because I think Wei expects SOFM to try and deny him double scuttle. Meanwhile, SOFM kind of just thought, you know what, I'm in the bot side, I'm not going to really waste my time trying to deny the enemy jungler when I can get ahead. And really the early game for Suning is mostly about him, because he's got scaling on either side lanes and a mid lane that really facilitates him. Now Wei is going to run towards the bot side for his Gromp. Really no interest whatsoever in trying to get that top side Scuttle Crab. On is a little bit out of position, but I suppose he will be safe just waddling back to his lane. Both the AD carries just farming up a storm. Wave is stacking in favor of RNG, so it will be building towards Suning. Perhaps RNG can look for something here, but again, it's a bit hard when your Diana doesn't really do too much damage and doesn't provide really any CC whatsoever. But regardless, Wei is still down here, probably looking for a counter gank, while SOFM in the top side will now only reveal to himself that, oh, the crab is still available. I'm just going to push this in. So I'm just going to secure it for myself. Nice little advantage is going to go in favor of SOFM. And the early game off of basically just picks and bans is going stellar for Suning, especially towards this jungle and mid combination. As Crying, to be fair, all credit where it's due, he is actually keeping up very nicely in terms of CS, only falling behind also in a quite insignificant manner. But it looks like the first bit of aggression is about to unfold here, as SOFM is going to enter the Raptors and look to steal it away. Crying by dropping a ward over will give away some early warning system. Control wards are planted in the bush. Both the spots are rotating up as well. Crying is not yet level 6, is half HP, and looks like this little contest is going to turn out to be a pretty big one, as Xiaohu also rotating down as well. Bin is going to be here as well, as the smite goes down. Wei jump in now onto SOFM. Angel trying to shield him out as much as possible. Wind becomes lightning used and flashed over the wall. Does SOFM go? And a little bit of trading back and forth. In the end, ultimately, only Crying is really the only one who is worst for wears, ultimately. And in the bot side, late AD carries are just dueling it out together on. He is not yet the transformed version of Tahm Kench, I do believe the reworked version, which means he won't be able to engage from the darkness, but he does provide that additional safety right from the get-go, not requiring at all any early levels as SOFM hops over the Dragon Wall, starting up that objective on, stepping forward quite aggressively, but Gala shooting him back in the face. Quan Feng and On, it looks like they will be rotating in to help their jungler to ensure that nothing can happen to him as he takes the first Infernal Drake. And while first dragons generally aren't a super big deal, Suning don't really lose too much from this. Tempo wise, he's got nowhere on the map to be. Bin isn't stuck in a terrible position, doesn't need his help in the mid lane. He can definitely rotate in time to save Angel, who uses teleport in the mid lane just to make sure that priority stayed in there in Suning's favor. Now RNG Crying has hit level 6. Nice hook landed now onto Huan Feng. Devour was used. Heal is available. No cleanse as all the summoner spells for the bot side are available. Let's see if Crying is going to be able to use his Paranoia ultimate, because of course many a time now, with Nocturne being so commonplace in the meta, many a time we don't see very many Nocturne ultimates used until like level 11 or even 13 or maybe even like 14, as all the teams are just so well versed at fighting Nocturne at this point in time. It has become so that Nocturne just can't find many avenues for a gank to get his team a hit, especially given the level 1 range of Paranoia being basically about 3 flashes worth of distance, which overall might seem like quite a lot, but when you consider the fact it's supposed to be a semi-global ultimate, it's really short. Now, Rift Herald is spawning in the next 30 seconds, and we could see some contest coming from there, as we have observed RNG are not at all afraid to come to the defense of their jungler and of their resources collapsing from literally all sides to protect Wei and his jungle. Suning now might be a bit apprehensive of trying to stick his... Suning's jungler might be a bit apprehensive of trying to stick his nose now into other people's business. Regardless, he is playing towards the top side. He's walking forward to get a bit of vision down. Xiaohu, meanwhile, above him, is getting some vision down for RNG. It looks like SOFM now is just going to path towards bot side. No intention of starting up this Rift Herald despite it being spawned. A question mark ping going down from the side of RNG. If we take stock of the gold right now, we find Suning a little bit ahead in terms of gold, and this gold lead is mostly being acquired across the solo lanes as well as a little bit, I suppose, from... Actually, no, it's just the solo lanes. What the heck? Yeah. Wow, it is literally just the solo lanes of Suning that are buoying their gold slightly in their favor. Xiaohu stepping forward with impunity, kind of fearless, which is kind of funny because topside river vision is entirely, in fact, almost the entire river from top to bottom is completely controlled by Suning, with the only little island of vision in favor of RNG towards the lane, in that little lane bush. Now, Ming has been tagged up by the Lick, and Suning, despite having what many would consider a slightly more passive composition with the Tahm Kench instead of the Thresh, actually are the ones who are putting on the pressure onto the duo. Now, SOFM now is going to enter the lane. It's going to be a 2v2. Teleport is not available by either mid laner, but Paranoia is available. Angel is keeping Crying it at bay, however, as face checking into 2 people. Unfortunately, SOFM gets absolutely obliterated even when the ultimate coming down, but looks like Bin is going to be the Avenger, as he is completely undeniable in this situation, easily taking a 1v2. Meanwhile, on the opposite side of the map, looks like fighting is going to happen as well, as in comes the Aphelios ultimate. The Jinx taken so incredibly low. Both the mid laners still unable to move from their lanes. Angel is just pinning Crying against his very own turret. Could there be a dive here? Flashes and heals and exhaust. Devour. Everything is available for either side as the flame comes into the box. Exhaust comes down onto Gala from On as the shield goes down. Great health. Huanfeng is getting tagged up. The Shurikens do come in, but the Devourer very nicely saves Huanfeng some valuable HP at this point in time. Neither jungler is really in position to help either of their bot laners. In fact, everyone just seems to be allowing things to happen without any problems. But now, both the jungler and the mid laner of RNG are rotating down as well, which results in Suning just abandoning their bot tower. So nice little 2v2 play coming in here from the sides of Gala and Ming. Meanwhile, in the top side, Bin is just stepping forward and chiseling away at Xiaohu's tower, but Xiaohu does have superior wave clear. Meanwhile, SOFM starting up the Rift Herald under full vision of RNG. RNG, based on their movements, are not looking to contest this at all, just looking to get some gold down onto Gala, which means that Wei needs to stay towards the bot side for a little longer than you'd expect. Just just clearing out the camps, making sure that his bot lane doesn't get ganked, or if the enemy bot lane does show, you can tell he's going to rotate down immediately. You see here, SOFM stepping forward fearlessly into the bush, not expecting there to be a Diana as well, not expecting the effects of the moon, and Wei getting tossed way away. Ultimately though, he is chased down by the seamstress. Is it the Hello Seamstress? And of course there really was nothing that Xiaohu could do after his kick was used to secure the kill onto SOFM. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, just a regular abuse going down onto Crying, who actually has been kept at bay by Angel phenomenally. Although we haven't seen very much mid-jungle pairing coming out from the side of Suning, which is kind of to be expected, honestly. Because again, SOFM is renowned for being an exceptional farmer, but really, he isn't so much of a carry. He isn't really a carry player, if you ask me. Well, he carries differently. He carries through utility. He gets a hit, and then he uses his lead to kind of put it back into his team, to reinvest kind of. He's not like a give me all the money, give me all the gold, and I will see you at the finish line kind of player. So I thought it was kind of funny that Suning would go for that. Ultimately though, SOFM hasn't really been able to do too much, stepping into the jungle both once in the Raptors and stepping into the top side of the map has resulted in him with getting 2 losses. So right now, in terms of successful movements overall, he's 0-2 as Crying. The abuse just continues, my guy, and there's really nothing you can do about it. Dragon has spawned now, and SOFM looks to be in position. A bunch of coming pings going down. RNG, I think they have no problem in letting this go. Of course, they have also decent scaling with the Diana ultimate as well as the Philios, as to be expected. While of course the Lee Sin and the Nocturne will fall off come the later stages of the game, as now SOFM, when Wind Becomes Lightning is thrown out, unable to tag out Wei using the Rocket Belt, as Gala and Ming jumping over the wall. Needs to be careful, however, as they could start a 2v2 here, the bottom side of Suning, and then wait for the rest of their team to come back them up, as Gala with his Infernum is just getting the priority so easily towards his bot side on, trying to play goalkeeper for the rest of his team, as members of Suning just try to keep the individual members of RNG out of the river. But alas, there are too many entrances. Rift Herald is dropped towards the mid lane, but Crying is there. The charge will go down regardless, but Rift Herald will not get anything more. Meanwhile, Suning is actually wasting a lot of time just running up and down the river. Meanwhile, RNG are getting their waves pushed, are getting the priority they need in order to push into the river. Wei now is in the river. SOFM starting up Dragon in full vision of RNG. Control wards are in position. Teleports are available as well from the top laners. This could be an explosive fight. Of course, RNG could opt to let this go, but it looks like they are more than likely trying for a contest, as Huanfeng barely sucks in his gut and gets away. Teleports are coming down from top laners. Dragon has reset. Look out now for Wei's positioning. Look out now for SOFM's ultimate to come through, as the splash damage coming in from Dragon is pretty massive. Sonic Wave landing onto SOFM. Smite comes down. SOFM ultimately is the one to catch Xiaohu. Is caught out of position way in the front line as well. SOFM's ultimate is used, ultimately not pushing anyone back, as the ultimate comes in as well from Wei. Only landing onto one person, is Crying is forced flash out of fight. Gala is frontlining. Unfortunately, 5 members of Suning is not what you want to be frontlining against, and the fight as well as the Dragon goes in favor of Suning. RNG now perhaps looking for an opportunity to come back with something. Left sentence lands down onto a minion. Huanfeng was quite lucky in not getting hit by that hook over there before the start of the fight, and ultimately everything goes in favor of Suning. Gold lead is 1.9k in the pockets of blue team, as Xiaohu needs to be a little bit careful. It does manage to delay Huanfeng's back ever so slightly, and let's see what happens here. So really a bit of miscommunication, a bit of confusion going down here, as RNG stepping out a little bit too far, gets jumped onto here. I thought SOFM using his ultimate so early was going to be doomed, but Wei jumping forward, not being able to get too much, as a super mega death rocket finishes him off at the tail end of that fight, and then Crying flashing away. Gala getting knocked up, and a couple more rockets go down. 3-4-0 trade in favor of Suning. And despite that, thankfully for the side of RNG, only 1.8k behind, not even reaching that 2,000 gold mark. Huanfeng is about 400 gold ahead of his counterpart. Angel has acquired himself a little bit of a lead. In fact, just across the board, Suning have their gold very nicely and evenly distributed across their entire team, as Wei now trying to get something away from SOFM, trying to get a little bit of a win. Needs to be careful, however, as a rematch really would most likely not lead to anything. That being said, Ming is in the area, which immediately turns this into a advantageous fight for RNG to take. They have the man advantage, as their bot lane of Suning is towards the bot side. Xiaohu, without teleport, just needs to keep them busy, and there's really no way for On and Huanfeng to together get across the map. And looks like RNG I like what they're doing here. As a little bit of fight unfolds in the jungle. Ming is being chopped up by Bin as well as SOFM. And now they're going to step forward. It's a 2v2 against the bot lane and jungler of RNG. Wei really with no way of getting out of this situation. Tries to flash away as SOFM jumping in onto Gala. Forcing out yet another flash. It's down comes the Moonlight Visual. Finally, the first paranoia of the game goes down along with a teleport. And looks like he's going to fly in instantly onto SOFM, who tries to one-shot Gala and take him out with him. Now, Bin will not be able to do anything about that as SOFM did make his choice ultimately, but Xiaohu is really nothing he can do in this bot side either, as On and Huangfeng siege down the tier 2 tower, and things are going very much in favor of of Suning, as Xiaohu jumps forward with the Sonic Wave, gets slowed up by the Tongue Lash, and that Tongue Lash slow is so significant as Gala now with the bodyguards of Crying anyway. I don't know if they know this, but they definitely know that he's in there, as that pink ward towards the furthest bush away from Suning's side probably revealed all to Bin in advance of whatever they tried on his life. That's why I've been playing very, very safe, playing very, very carefully. Is 3-0-1 right now, as Shurelias has been completed for Angel in the mid lane. Overall, every single character aside from the supports and the AD carry of RNG do have their mythic items, as Ming trying to clear out that one. Nice trap set by Suning's jungler and top laner, playing together very well. And at this point, this 2v2 is not something you can take if you are Gala and Wei, as the dueling potential of both these champions is exceptional. SOFM really doing all the work over there, as Bin couldn't even reach his opponents. And then when the paranoia comes down, really SOFM, there's nothing he could do about it, because of course paranoia cannot be stopped mid-flight. But he still tried anyway to get his ultimate off to try and tank up whatever damage he could. And it looks like Rift Herald is going to go in favor of Suning. So as to be expected, Suning did take control of the early game. They have acquired themselves a little bit under a 3,000 gold, actually just a bit over, a 3,000 gold lead in their favor. Everything is going their way. Kills, towers, neutral objectives. And right now RNG have dug themselves into a little bit of a hole, because you definitely don't scale very nicely into late game. You do have like the Diana scaling as previously mentioned, you have the Ophelia scaling, but you kind of lack a front line, as Lee Sin doesn't really cut it. Meanwhile, inside of Suning, you have the Thumb Kent, you have the Xin Zhao, and you have, of course, as we previously mentioned, the utility from the Karma. So while Enchanter mid laners don't generally scale very well into the late game, a Bruiser Nocturne doesn't either, which kind of means that your scaling is automatically improved. Now, Bin is an absolute beast at this point in time. Now, he will probably fall into a 1v2 situation between him, Crying, and Wei. As the Paranoia goes down, down comes the W as well. The spell that so many champions have complained about, so many players, have complained about, and Bin was not able to get every single one of his ultimate needles down, because of course of the fear from the Nocturne, which is exactly why he makes 1v1ing a little bit harder, and when he can no longer 1v1 if he's got a teammate, he makes 2v1ing so easy for Nocturne and his compatriot, because the fear just lasts forever. RNG now are going to wisely give up the bottom side of the map to Suning while trying to pillage whatever they can towards the top side. So nice little cross map plays coming down here from RNG, never really losing everything except for the last team fight where they really did lose absolutely everything, got nothing back. Absolutely opportune situation for the members of Suning. Now Gala stepping forward aggressively, try to get some damage down onto this mid lane tower. Needs to be careful as SOFM is in position, Bin teleporting behind, trying to catch out both Crying as well as Wei, and ultimately it looks like Crying will be abandoned. Wei just narrowly managing to get out of the fight, but it looks like Crying, oh my god, they don't know he's in there. What? How could they not know he's in there? Oh my goodness, I think the Q, what? Oh my god, I think the Q revealed him as having channeled his recall completely, because Crying was of course stopped in the last instance of his teleport, and generally when that happens there's a chance that the damage comes through but the teleport still completes, and I think that's kind of what baited Angel, because the Q definitely provides vision. Now Xiaohu looks like he's going to absolutely int it down in order to secure this tower. Looks like he's accepted his fate, trying to take Angel with him, but Angel with the Grasp of the Undying, with the roots, with the shields, is just absolutely tanky, as even On is jumping in now to see whether his assistance might be necessary to save Angel, but Angel is just so incredibly tanky. Now, despite Xiaohu's best attempts at getting something back, okay, let's see what happens here. I bet you, oh, what? He didn't see Crying. Whoa. That's kind of crazy. That's really lucky on the side of Crying. Doesn't change too much, honestly. I mean, an additional kill would definitely have been what Suning would have enjoyed to have, but they made the right play there, because there's no point if you throw something in that's supposed to spot out the bush and it doesn't spot anything, there is no reason to suspect it, you know? So perfectly done. Nice job by Crime, applying pressure towards the top side, forcing someone up there to try and clear out the wave. But it looks like RNG won't be able to do anything with that pressure that Crime has given them towards the top side. They won't be able to do anything towards the bottom side, as of course their laners have yet to reset. Of course, their bot side is pushed into them as well. So Xiaohu will return now onto Summoner's Rift with a nice little wave for him, a little comforting. Ooh, nice crit coming down. A little bit of comfort coming down. And even though Gala was behind in terms of items just now when I was doing a check-in for the mythic items, he is now completely evenly matched, only a couple of long swords down from his counterpart on Huanfeng in the side of Suning. And right now, Dragon will be spawning in the next 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Suning are at Soul Point as Rift Herald is dropped in the river. Somewhat of an aversion on the side of Suning in dropping that Rift Herald directly in front of a tower, preferring instead to drop it in the river. A bunch of coming pings are going down as Gala with his Infernum as well, of course, as in comes the Paranoia. Rooted up is Huanfeng. There will be no Devour to save him, and the Wei jumps onto him. The Moonfall coming down as well. Huanfeng just dogpiled on, and Angel was feared out by the tether. Wasn't able to save his AD carry, as right now looks like SOFM is gonna go down. Suning falling apart at the seams. Very nice engage being instigated there by Gala, and with that, 5 members of RNG are going to head towards this Baron. Red buff is healing up, crying. Wei is a little bit low. Gala will have some innate sustain, does have the red gun as well to get some of that sustain going down as he's trying to use up as much of the Infernum as possible by the looks of it. Now Suning will attempt to contest this. They do not have 2 players. 10 seconds until Huanfeng. Nice hook lands onto Angel. They try to dogpile onto him, but Crying is being taken out, forced to flash away from Bin, but Bin is being completely ignored. He's shredding up Gala, and right now in the middle of 5 people, Bin is super healthy. Bin is taking the fight in a 3v5 situation. Suning are winning as the ultimate comes through, getting 3 people. Gwen, 4 kills. Are you you cannot avoid a Gwen, I think, in a team fight as he absolutely shreds through whatever remained of RNG, trying to kill Angel, who's so tanky, has so much sustain, trying to kill On, who provides even more tankiness to Angel. If they focused Bin there, at least he wouldn't be able to do damage. At least he'd be stuck in On's belly. At least something would have stopped their carries from getting absolutely shredded. But as it was, they parted like the Red Sea, allowed Bin to get right on to Crying, and then right on to Gala, and then right on to anybody else he wanted to. And honestly, there isn't really much you can do when he is in his mist. And if you are, let's say, Ming, you can't really throw a hook at him because he's just going to take a dip into his hula hoop of safety, and there your hook is going to go sailing right through him. Now let's see what happens here. So Bin stepping forward, he's like, oh guys, need to watch out. Pops the W because he thought he was going to get hooked, and once he gets ignored, he's like, okay guys, just keep him busy, and I got this. Actually, great discipline, keeping the ultimate, look at that, keeping the last stack of the ultimate until he finds a nicely lined up members of RNG, and boom! Look at that. Look at that ultimate. Absolutely destroyed. I gotta hand it to Bin. He played that exceptionally well. Didn't just spam the R button. Did play carefully, did save his ammo per se. Now Dragon is spawning in 2 seconds time, and right now based on how the state of the game is with 5.8k gold, about 5,000 gold in favor, Suning look absolutely unstoppable. They look so comfortable in this position. There's no contest to be had for this Wind Dragon. All RNG can do is batten down the hatches, try and farm up as best as they can, and prepare to fight for the Elder Drake in 6 minutes time. Right now with Baron pushing in, I don't think Suning are going to give them the option of scaling back up, of getting some reprieve, getting any resources back. Truth be told, it looks like Suning are set to end the game right now. Bin is pushing up the top side, does have teleport, pressuring through 2 lanes as the rest of Suning barrel down the mid lane. Vision right now is in favor of nobody, but that's soon to change as Suning now creeps into the top side jungle. There's still an outer tower and a tier 3 as a rocket now landing onto Gala, who is low on mana, needs to be careful as 1 crit brought him down to about half HP. Hook goes down onto the cannon minion, trying to make sure he gets taken out as Wei now is spotted on the flanks. Ultimately needs to have a real long round in order to get back to his team. Is going to channel his recall. SOFM is just trying to make sure that he does not get access onto Huanfeng, because that's of course how RNG kind of won the first half of that last fight, just exploding the AD carry of Suning. But looks like regardless of that, being able to secure himself already 2 towers in the top side with Baron buff to be expected. Now Gold lead has ballooned to about 7,000 in favor of Suning. As Wei now stepping up towards the top side. I don't think him and Xiaohu can actually take out Bin. Bin right now with 3 items. That's Zhonya's Hourglass. Can buy so much time, as well as his W, as the range advantage coming in now from Huanfeng. An auto attack on the back ringing through onto Gala, and it looks like they're going to need to start thinking about their next game's draft already. I'm thinking that this Gwen is a no-go. 100% need to ban. As right now, Suning are just suffocating RNG in this claustrophobic space that was once a home. Once a home for RNG, once a safe place. As Baron buff does eventually drop out, signals Suning's need to retreat, probably reset lots of gold now onto their Gwen, having taken 2 outer turrets by herself. At 7, 1, and 3, Bin is an absolute monster, and there's, I think, nobody on the side of RNG who can stop him. There's no point-and-click CC. The tether takes a little while, and the Gwen can just skip out of it. But I suppose if you focus on Bin in team fights, then Huanfeng is going to absolutely shred through the remainder of your team. Xiaohu cannot stand up to the onslaught that is the damage output coming out from Huanfeng. So right now, I'm pretty sure the game is over. As I was sure that game 1 was going to go in favor of RNG, I am equally as certain that Suning are going to close this game out. If not within the next 3 minutes, then within the next 7. Because I don't see RNG lasting very long before a Huanfeng powered by a Elder Dragon. As the zap comes through, Ming needs to be careful as Huanfeng stepping up with impunity, absolutely fearless. Now Bin playing towards the bot side, playing away from Baron, which is spawning in the next minute and 45 seconds, trying to split RNG up, trying to find holes and crevices to play through. And if that raptor camp was there, Xiaohu, he might have been baited into jumping into there, in which case he would have absolutely thrown the game. Suning now playing through 2 lanes yet again, trying to make his way towards the top side, trying to get some pressure out onto the map, trying to alleviate whatever he can from the side of Suning. And Suning, without really getting anything done, will instead reset now, trying to prepare for the Baron, getting whatever items they can. Double needlessly large rod coming in now from Bin. We'll have no item space for control wards. Meanwhile, actually, only control wards that are available on the side of Suning are going to be on their support and their jungler. But look at the amount of wowzers. Look at the stopwatches coming out on the side of Suning. They know that this next fight is going to be quite key, as every single member can go golden with the exception of the support, who can actually just delay even more. Suning, no, they just need to tank out the bit of a dive that, okay, looks like Wei is just going to be ran down here as the zap lands as well, forcing out the flash super mega death rocket, forcing out the Zhonyas, as Wei is pretty much going to be null and void in a fight. The second he jumps in, he's going to be absolutely incinerated. Maybe he can buy himself a stopwatch right now. I'm not sure if he used it yet. But Suning not even waiting for the Baron buff, which is coming now in 25 seconds time, pressuring through 2 lanes yet again. So basically, Suning just need to survive the initial burst coming out from RNG with 4 stasises and a Thumb Kench. I'm pretty sure that's going to happen. And after which, they're just going to clean house RNG. Absolutely no hope in them. They do have Infinity Edge now onto Gala. Gala's damage output is not something you can exactly shrug off. But, I mean, if you're Bin, you can literally shrug it off. You can just press W and you will be completely fine. Besides, Bin is going to be chasing Gala down like a hound. And so chances are there won't be anything here. Now, Xiaohu with a desperate flank comes down now onto Huanfeng, but On is there with the Devour. Stopwatches are still available. Do not forget, Stopwatch is used. Wei, ultimate is whiffed. On is taken out. In comes Gwen from the backlines as Gala running away from him into the rest of Suning Gaming, but Bin coming in, shredding the remainders. And although people will fall on the side of Suning, ultimately this looks to be a penta if Bin can ever catch up to the remaining members of RNG. Gala, it looks like he's going to be abandoned here, takes a wrong turn, and now Bin has him. The slow is there from the E, and the game will come to a close. Wei trying his best to one-shot Huanfeng, and ultimately Huanfeng doing a very good job keeping his stopwatch to the last moment until Wei jumps in onto him. On sacrificing himself for his AD carry, and although it would have really, actually it was fantastic, it was just overall well played, and to be fair, RNG executed that really well, as Wei, before he can even clear out 3 minions, Bin and SOFM absolutely tear through his entire base. And ladies and gentlemen, really, that was pretty one-sided. So both teams showing that you give them the compositions that they actually are comfortable with, and they will show you how it's done. Which means that's going to be a pretty exciting Game 3 to watch. Because Suning have shown, give us a nice mid-game give us control of the early game, we'll bring it into a nice mid game, and then we will absolutely snowball the lead and finish you off. Meanwhile, on side RNG, the same thing can be said from game 1. Give us something that can acquire a lead early, and we will start snowballing. We will finish you off before the 35-minute mark. Really, there's nothing much more to be said about that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. See ya!